Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're jumping into something pretty interesting, a collection of quotes, thoughts, little reflections, all put together on April 1st.
April 1st, yeah. Makes you think maybe there's a joke in there somewhere.
Right. You might expect something tricky, but honestly, this collection, it seems to hold some surprisingly solid insights.
Mm.
Our mission today is really to look at these seemingly separate ideas, connect the dots, and, pull out some genuinely useful takeaways for you, listening in.
Good.
Stuff to help live a bit more effectively, maybe more intentionally.
Makes sense. Taking the pieces and building a bigger picture.
Exactly. And just to kick us off, think about this connection, or maybe contrast Simon Sinek saying, we don't build trust when we offer help. We build trust when we ask for it.
Okay.
And then right alongside that, you find this phrase, always grab the right handle. They seem totally different at first.
Right. One's about trust dynamics. The other sounds like what? Stoicism.
Yeah. But I think there's a fascinating thread connecting them about how we genuinely connect.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting, I think, is how both point towards vulnerability. That's the hidden link, maybe.
Vulnerability. Okay.
Yeah.
How so with Sinek?
Well, his idea just flips the common wisdom, doesn't it? We assume, being the strong one, the helper, that's what builds the bond.
That's the usual way you think about it.
But asking for help, that means you have to be open. You admit you don't have it all figured out. And it's right there in that openness that real connection can actually start.
So it's about showing up authentically, warts and all.
Exactly. Being willing to be seen, really seen.
Okay. And then Epictetus is telling us to always grab the right handle. The example used is like if your brother wrongs you.
Right. He says, don't grab the handle of the wrongdoing. That just makes you focus on the hurt, the anger.
Instead, you grab the handle of, what was it? Brotherhood. Shared history.
Yeah, the connection that already exists. You choose that perspective.
So putting that next to Sinek, asking for help is like choosing the handle of connection.
Precisely. You're basically saying, hey, we're in this together. Or, I trust you enough to show you I need something. You're opting for connection instead of, suffering alone or just dwelling on the negative.
That clicks. It reframes asking for help, not as weakness, but as actively choosing connection.
Yeah. And if you think about building strong relationships, real ones, it's not about this perfect, invulnerable image.
Right. Nobody's perfect.
It's about being okay with showing our real selves, our needs, and letting others step in. And that, I think, really speaks to that desire for authentic understanding you mentioned. Strength isn't just giving, it's also being open enough to receive.
Okay, that's a strong start.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears slightly. There's this quote from Jim Rohn in the mix. Life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change.
Yes. That one definitely puts the responsibility squarely on us, doesn't it?
It really does. It feels like a direct challenge. No waiting around for things to magically improve.
It injects that sense of personal agency right into the conversation. You're not just floating along. You're the one who needs to make the changes. It challenges passivity.
And it ties into some other bits here, like always be learning.
And be willing to be remedial, which is an interesting choice of words.
Right. Always be learning. Okay, that seems clear enough. Continuous improvement, keep growing. But remedial, that sounds a bit negative, like you failed something.
It often does carry that baggage, yeah. Like something needs fixing because it's broken. But here, I think it's more like a remedy, a solution.
Oh, okay. Like medicine?
Kind of. It's about being willing to go back to the fundamentals, even if it feels like taking a step backward, addressing the basics to build a stronger foundation.
So don't be too proud to revisit square one if needed.
Exactly that. Humility, really. Yeah. Recognizing where the gaps are and being willing to do that, maybe unglamorous work to fill them, whether it's skills for your job or just, basic assumptions in your life. And then you see Confucius chime in, the gem cannot be polished without friction.
Okay, yeah.
That friction, that's the struggle. That's the remedial work sometimes. It's the challenge of learning. That's what actually refines us, makes the gem shine.
And that connects perfectly. The willingness to face the friction, even go back to basics, is how you get polished. That's a great insight.
It really frames challenges differently.
Okay, another one that kind of made me pause was the advice to set the bar low.
Yeah, that one sounds wrong, doesn't it? Especially in a culture focused on high achievement.
Totally. It sounds like aiming for mediocrity or something. What's the thinking there?
Well, I don't think it's actually about limiting ambition. The full thought gives more context. Something like, to find success, set the bar low. Today will not be perfect and nobody's going to get out of your way.
Okay. So it's more about managing expectations.
Exactly. It seems like a strategy for resilience. Expect bumps in the road. Don't assume a perfectly smooth path where everyone helps you. It's like proactive realism.
So prepare for obstacles. Don't be shocked when they appear.
Precisely. And then you're less likely to get totally derailed or discouraged when things inevitably don't go perfectly.
Right. And that feels connected to another piece here. Gratitude is not about what is received. It's about how you receive what is there.
Beautifully connected, yes. If you start with slightly lower, maybe more realistic expectations about the day.
You're more likely to appreciate what does go right or just what
Exactly. You shift focus from this isn't perfect or I didn't get X to okay, what do I have? What did work? It fosters gratitude for the present reality, not some imagined ideal.
that could be really helpful if you tend to feel overwhelmed by, always falling short of huge goals.
Yeah.
Setting the bar low initially could actually be freeing.
It could be. It offers a different way to frame the journey, focusing on navigating the reality rather than just the destination.
Okay, this collection also has this allergic to list. It's pretty direct. Things like bad attitudes, laziness, comparing myself to others, wasting time.
Yeah, it's quite a list. And it's insightful because it's not just random pet peeves.
No. What is it then?
It feels like a very conscious identification of energy drains, things that actively sabotage living intentionally.
Energy drains, like
Yeah.
things that just suck the life out of your focus.
Exactly. Think about being allergic to, getting dragged into other people's chaos, or comparing yourself constantly. These are huge traps.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So by naming these allergens, you're basically setting up boundaries, protecting your own mental space, your focus.
That makes sense. And it seems to link up with another idea here. Better, not more.
Absolutely. The allergic to list helps clear out the clutter, internal and external.
Right, the stuff that distracts you.
And better, not more,
Yeah.
directly tackles that accumulation mindset, this constant need for more stuff, more status. It argues that's actually a source of suffering.
Instead of fulfillment.
Right. Fulfillment comes from quality, from things that genuinely add value, not just quantity.
And then there's OQP, only quality people. Applying that quality filter to relationships, too.
Seems like it. It's about being selective, intentional, about who you spend your energy on, surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, not drain you.
It all feels quite focused, like building walls to protect your energy.
Focus, yeah. And then maybe the toughest one in this section hits you. Are you inventing things to do to avoid the important work?
Oof. Yeah, that one. That one can sting a little.
It's such a sharp question, isn't it? Because it gets at that sneaky kind of procrastination, not just sitting around doing nothing.
But being busy doing unimportant things.
Exactly. Busy work is an avoidance tactic, keeping yourself occupied so you don't have to face the big, scary, important thing.
And how does that connect to, say, play in the present moment?
Well, when you're inventing tasks, you're usually not present, are you? You're often mentally elsewhere, maybe worrying about the important task you're avoiding, using the busy work like a shield.
Okay, got it. You're not engaged.
Not fully. And if you bring in Tolstoy's line here, the two most powerful warriors are patience and time. It suggests that the important work often requires that sustained, patient focus over time.
Something you can't give if you're constantly inventing distraction.
Precisely. You're undermining your own most powerful warriors.
Wow. Okay, that whole section on focus is really practical, but then it shifts again towards something maybe more complex. Robert Greene's ideas.
Ah, yes. The perfect courtier and never outshine the master. We're getting into social strategy now. Power dynamics.
Which can feel a bit calculating.
It can. Green definitely offers a pragmatic, maybe even clinical look at navigating social hierarchies. He stresses observation. Always take a look at things with some distance.
Become a master observer.
Right. Detach a bit emotionally, try to understand the game being played, the underlying currents of power before you dive in.
And the advice itself, never outshine the master. That sounds tricky. Like, shouldn't you always do your best? Isn't that meritocracy?
That's the tension, absolutely. But Green's argument is based on, let's say, the psychological realities of power. Making people above you feel insecure, even unintentionally, by being too brilliant.
Can backfire.
It can significantly backfire, he suggests. So his advice is strategic. Always make those above us feel comfortably superior.
Comfortably superior. How do you even do that without, like, dumbing yourself down or being dishonest?
It's definitely a fine line. It's not necessarily about hiding your talents completely, but perhaps being more tactful in how you display them, giving credit, framing ideas in a way that aligns with the leader's vision,
Being strategic about visibility?
something like that. And it connects, interestingly, with the advice against seeking credit, and even Picasso's idea about giving away your gift.
How so?
Well, if your focus is on the contribution, on the work itself getting done, rather than on you getting the applause,
Hmm.
you might actually achieve more in the long run because you're not threatening anyone's ego. That seems to be the idea. It shifts the focus from immediate personal recognition to perhaps longer-term influence and effectiveness. You let the work speak, maybe let others feel ownership.
But isn't there a risk of just fading into the background? Or being seen as less capable if you're constantly downplaying things? How do you balance that with ambition?
That is the core challenge, isn't it? I don't think Green is saying be mediocre forever. It's more like understand the dynamics, play the long game.
A long-term strategy for influence, maybe.
Perhaps build trust, make superiors feel secure, and then maybe your brilliance is welcomed or you gain the influence to implement your ideas more directly. It's complex social navigation.
Definitely complex. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Vulnerability, growth, expectations, focus, social strategy.
Mm.
If you had to pull out one single unifying idea from this whole April 1st collection, what would it be?
Looking across all of them, I think the strongest thread is the power of intentional response.
Intentional response. Say more about that.
Well, whether it's choosing the right handle instead of reacting angrily,
Or deliberately choosing change, like Ron says.
or managing expectations instead of just being disappointed,
Or consciously filtering out distractions and focusing your attention.
or even strategically navigating social situations instead of just blundering through.
It all comes down to making a conscious choice.
Exactly. A conscious choice about how you engage with the situation, rather than just letting circumstances or emotions dictate your reaction. It's about moving from reactive living to intentional responding.
So recognizing that space between stimulus and response and making a deliberate choice in that space.
That's a great way to put it. We can't always control the external events, the stimulus, but we can work on controlling our perspective, our interpretation, our response.
And maybe that loops back to the date, 1D April, in a funny way.
How do you mean?
Well, maybe it's not a joke, but a reminder that these profound ideas can pop up anywhere seems simple, almost deceptive like an April Fool's.
But hold real wisdom.
Yeah. And maybe it also signifies, a fresh start, like April 1st, day one of applying these ideas intentionally.
I like that. A reminder that every day offers a chance to choose that intentional response.
So if there's one big takeaway from this deep dive into what seemed like random April 1st musings, it's really about the incredible power we unlock when we choose to live intentionally.
That sums it up beautifully, moving from just reacting to deliberately navigating.
So for everyone listening, maybe think about this. Consider one area of your life right now where consciously choosing to grab the right handle, focusing on connection or the positive aspect rather than the grievance, could really shift things for you. What might open up if you did?
And maybe just reflect on which of these principles we talked about really resonated with you today, which one felt like it clicked. And
Yeah.
perhaps think about one small thing, just one concrete step you could take, maybe even today, to start weaving that insight into your actual life.
Because ultimately, that's what this is all about, right? This collection, this discussion. It's a reminder that living well isn't automatic. It's an ongoing practice of learning, reflecting, and engaging intentionally with whatever life throws our way.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.